Agora, majoring archaeology, and I'm delighted to present to you today my very special and wonderful experience digging the Athenian Agora in this past summer. Great. So before we get a little more into the site, let's talk a little bit about the history of the excavation. And we can see a really nice map over here of the entire archaeological site of the Athenian Agora, including the area that I was working at this past season, which is the area that's boxed by the red box on the top. So the Agora excavation is run by the American School of Classical Studies at Athens. And they have a very long history of excavating and digging since the excavation actually began in 1931. So for the past 91 years, they've been actively excavating. And many of these areas on the bottom has actually been excavated. And as you can see, they always assign each area with 2 Greek letters. And so, as you can see pointed by my shadow, these areas are the actual archaeological site of the Athenian Agora, and this is the Acropolis. So the Agora is actually right below the Acropolis. So the actual area that we were excavating at is on the outside of the archaeological site because it's separated by a road, which is the road where modern tourists and visitors walk on, and they can enter the archaeological site through this way here, and this is known as the Panathenaic pathway, which will connect the start of the Athenian Agora all the way to the Acropolis, so the ancient Greeks can walk all the way up to the Acropolis, but unfortunately that entryway is blocked in modern times. So our excavation in 2022 season focused on a stoa that's called the Stoa of Poikili, which is also known as the painted stoa. So that's the main focus of our excavation, which has been ongoing for a while in that top area up there. And there's mainly 3 trenches that we were working in. So Beta Zeta and Beta Theta, which is divided into west and east. And we'll take a closer look in another picture. And the Stoa of Poikili is kind of very faintly marked by this rectangular up on the very top. And if you guys are interested in learning more about the excavation or want to take a look at more maps, American School does a really good job digitizing all the data from the excavation, which you can find on their website, which is abbreviation.net. And that's the database for all the images, publications, reports. And yeah, I highly recommend taking a look, and maybe you can find some embarrassing pictures of me and my fellow diggers. All right, so this is the actual set. And this is a before and after comparison that's taken on the first day of the excavation, and this is taken on the last day of excavation. And as you can see indicated by this wall over here, we actually made a lot of depth. And that's what me and my fellow diggers would say, we really moved some dirt. Yeah, so the area where this wall is at is known as Beta Theta West. And the area over here that's kind of cut out by the picture is Beta Theta East. And as you can see by this weird rectangular structure, that's actually the steps of the painted stoa. So Beta Theta West is laying right on top of part of the stoa, and then it extends outwards. And during our excavation, we were actually able to excavate some of the stairs over there, which as you can see in this picture is covered. So that was very exciting. And Beta Theta East over there is right in front of the painted stoa, which goes this way, and that's where all the public gatherings would occur in the past. So there's also some very exciting finds in that area as well. And the area back there is called Beta Zeta, and that's the only trench in our season that actually got down to the classical level. And we found some really amazing, beautiful fineware with archaic figures, decorations, and some geometric potteries, which got me really excited. And we also found a lot of ostraca. In fact, one of the pits I was working with It's called as the ostraca pit, and I was able to find 8 ostraca in one morning. That was Christmas coming early for me as supervisors, I'm sure. And there's 2 more things I want to point out with these 2 pictures right here. First is that it's taken at the top of a very long staircase that will bring the diggers down to the side. And as you can see indicated by this wall, out of that used to be ground level, so the dirt was removed and excavated to get down to the bottom level, which is very impressive. And the second thing I want to point out is the building up here. This is a commercial building that's built in the 1990s, and very unfortunately, it lies right on top of the painted stoa that we're so desperately trying to get to. So what's going to happen, or what already has happened, is that the American school bought the building. It was supposed to come down March to May. Obviously, that didn't happen. We were told that it will come down halfway through the season, and obviously that did not happen either. But next season, for those of you who will be so fortunate in going, this is where you'll be working at. You will start digging from the Ottoman layer, Ottoman Empire layer, and you will get all the way down to the stoa, hopefully. But Bethesda over here will be backfilled because they already got down to the geometric layer and they don't want to go any further. So future researchers, maybe one of you guys will be able to re-excavate that area. Yeah. So let's dig deeper. So most importantly, let's get us saturated. Let me address some of the perhaps immediate questions that's on your mind. And I have some good news to share because the Athenian Agora is in the heart of Athens. And this is a really touristy, modern, 21st century AD map of Athens. This is, as we all know, this is a Acropolis where the Parthenon is. And right below it is the Athenian Agora. And the site that we will be digging at is right here, near the entryway. And because it's in the heart of Athens, we can always take advantage of all the different museums and sites at the end of dig each day. And I would highly recommend, because with the Agora excavation, you get free entry to all the museums and archaeological sites in Greece. Just think of how much money you can save. So the more you go, the more money you save. Another good news is room and board is provided. Not only that, but you get paid for your hard work digging the Agora in the form of weekly stipend for food. So ideally, there's no additional cost except for airfare, flying there and back. But I know I definitely was guilty of squandering all my money right after getting paid. Because they pay you on Friday. And God knows what you do on Friday nights, right? But another nice thing about apartments is that it's in a really nice and safe neighborhood called Pangrati, which is over here. And it's right next to the Panathinaik Stadium. And every day in the morning, you walk through the neighborhood of Pangrati, pass by the stadium, walk through the National Garden, and then walk through the neighborhoods in Plaka to get to the site. It takes about 45 minutes, but the view is absolutely gorgeous, and there's nobody in the morning. It's a very pleasant walk. And once you get used to the walking, it only takes 30 minutes to do the walk. And some other things that I'm sure is probably on your mind is about heat, sun, and dust. And there's lots of that, I promise you. But the good thing is, once you really get saturated into the excavation, normally that will take 1 to 2 weeks, the heat wouldn't be so bad, and all you will feel is warm. And there's definitely breaks that you can take in the middle of the day, so it's not that bad, I promise. Even though the highest temperature during one of the weeks got up to 100 degrees, and most of the weeks it's in the high 90s degrees, and I was told that it could be a lot worse, so I'm qualified. Another thing is about COVID. So we unfortunately had some minor COVID outbreaks, but it wasn't really outbreaks because it didn't outbreak inside our excavation team. It's just people getting COVID at different times, and we didn't transmit it to each other. And I was thinking that it probably came from travels and public transportation. So being careful and having a mask inside will be very important. But out of the 40 diggers, only 3 of us got COVID. So I'd say that we're doing really well. But if that's on your mind, I want to put it out here because it's for sure something to be concerned about. But hopefully by next summer, that will not be a problem. All right, so season breakdown. The excavation is 8 weeks, so basically 2 months. And on week 1, what you will be doing is mostly cleaning, and what our supervisors would say, count the green. As you can recall from the first 2 pictures of the site that I showed, the site is covered with wild grass and lots of plants that you have to remove in order to get to the actual digging. So that's what you'll be doing in week 1, and they'll be taking lots of pictures before you actually start doing the digging. And we do 3 rotations in the Agora because we have 3 trenches, but maybe next year they will be having 4 trenches, so there will be more rotations. That way you can get a sense of the different things you do in each area of the Agora, and you can actually have a better sense of what you're getting yourself into, basically. So at the beginning of week 4 was our first rotation, and at the beginning of week 5 we have Monday off. That's a really nice 2-day weekend for us to rest, but of course we fly off to go to the many different places in Greece and Europe. But at the beginning of week 7 we have our last rotation, which is exciting because my last rotation was at Beta Setup, where all the good things are being found. But unfortunately, we only had 1 week of digging. Really, though our case was very different because Beta Zeta was getting backfill, so we had to get down to the ground level in order for them to backfill the area. But normally, no new baskets are being opened, meaning that no more areas will be dug in. So they're really trying to just finish all the digging and record all the things and take a lot of pictures so they can fully close the baskets at the end of the season. So what will your ideal day look like? Ideally, I would leave my apartment at 6:10. Takes 40 minutes to arrive at the site. We start digging when the bell rings. Very conveniently, there's this church right next to our excavating area, so we always go by the bell. But it rings 5 minutes late, so it really starts at 7:05. And now we get our cookie break at 9. This is when the supervisor walk around and give you a cookie, and you can eat it in the stop, and that will make you feel so good because you work for your cookie all morning. And then you work 2 more hours until lunch break, only 30 minutes. And then at 1 p.m. you get a water break, 10 minutes, but normally they give us 20 minutes. And then we can power through the day, the rest of 40 minutes, which is easy. All right, so what will you get out of the Agora? You will become very comfortable using tools like picks and trowel, and that's not a very good picture in terms of scale, but the picks will typically be this big, which you will use. It's a little heavy, but it does a really good job. If you do it correctly, you can let the tool do the work for you, so it wouldn't hurt your wrist as bad. It's very handy when you're trying to make a pass and just go